I think that CBCS is a solid third-party grader. Let's be super clear about that. Solid grading company. They offer great services to the community. What they don't do is sell themselves. They do not sell themselves well enough, and that affects perception. Potentially, that perception affects the values that their books command in the market. There are going to be some people that are going to watch this video that are not going to like what I have to say. They're going to say that I'm being overly critical of CBCS, and potentially I will be, but there is a reason for that. I personally believe that constructive criticism is a path towards getting better. Constructive criticism is a way to demonstrate to someone some areas and opportunities for improvement. And it is honestly in that spirit that I'm going to create this video, because my hope is that through this feedback, potentially CBCS could be a better company. Potentially they could be a better competitor to CGC. Potentially they could even be a better service provider to those that want to use their services. So again, it's in that spirit that I create this video. Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. In this video, we are going to talk about some things that CBCS could potentially do to be a better company, a better service provider, and also maybe a better competitor to CGC. One of the first things that I would say that they need to do is to change the company culture, or change the mindset that they have. What I mean by that is that they seem to be very comfortable being the second leading grading company. They do not seem, in my estimation, to have a desire to be the industry leader. And part of the reason why I say that is because they don't innovate. I don't feel like they have introduced anything that is truly innovative in quite some time. They seem to be very comfortable patterning themselves after CGC, making slight tweaks and adjustments to what they offer so as to get a little bit closer to CGC. They don't seem to want to truly innovate the industry and to introduce new services and new offerings to the market. And that, again, is something that has to change. There has to be someone within that organization that says, we desire to be the industry leader. We will be the industry leader, to set that vision and that expectation that they are going to go somewhere versus follow someone else. The second thing that I would say is that CBCS needs to improve its marketing efforts. They have a slogan of the clear choice, and I'll tell you, as a marketer, I have no clue what that actually means. Oftentimes when you come out with a tagline or a slogan, you offer up proof points that articulate why that slogan actually makes sense. You point to different factors and different data points to say, this is why we can say this. I've never actually seen that from them, so I'm not quite sure how they are the clear choice. They certainly aren't the market leader, and that's not a criticism, that is a statement of fact. So how is it that they're the clear choice? For whom? In what way? That should be explained. Another thing that I think is true is that they don't seem to have a YouTube presence in any way, shape, or form. It does not take a whole lot to have a YouTube channel in which you can put out communications, you can put out messages, you can put out different things to your customers to educate and also to inform them. Their Instagram presence is also a little flat. I think they recently surpassed 7,000 subscribers, which isn't a ton for a company at their level. They are the second leading grading company out there, and they only have about 7,000 subscribers. Honestly, the most engagement that they've seen in quite some time was with the post that they put up about the departure of Steve Borak. Like, that is the most engagement that they have. You look at their posts, they're all relatively flat. They lack sizzle. I don't think that I've ever seen them issue a press release. Sometimes when they put out communications, it's literally just an email blast or it is a post on their forum. There does not seem to be a communication cascade that has been created that is spread across different tactics designed to reach their audience in a holistic manner. It's more like we put it up. That's it. That's all we do. I think that there needs to be a lot more. Maybe the reason I feel that way is because I'm a marketer. And as a marketer, I believe that you have to say something to your audience repeatedly over time in a number of different ways for that audience to really understand what you're saying. But also, you have to do it so that you can reach your audience and even expand your audience. Again, I think that there is a lot of room for improvement in their marketing efforts. One last point here that I want to make, again, this is my specialty, is that with the departure of Steve Borak, they took his bio off of their website the day that he left the company. And in its place, they did nothing. They literally did nothing. They have essentially, in the quotes, handed the baton to another person, from Steve Borak to a guy by the name of Wes. Wes does not even have a profile on their website. Like, there's a photo and a title and a name. That's it. When you look at their website, when you look at their team is basically 3 people, and there's nothing but photos, names, and titles. There's nothing else there. They say that they have 250 years of experience, and now that Steve is gone, I'm guessing that number has dropped down. But where are the CVs? Where are the credentials? Who are these people? What expertise do they have? Who are the people behind CBCS? That is like the question, right? And you would assume that there is some kind of plan for these other people to step up with Steve's departure. But when you simply take his photo and bio off the website and that's all that you do, it doesn't seem like there is a plan. It just seems like, yeah, Steve's gone and we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. I hope that that's not the case, but that's how one could interpret the actions that they've taken thus far. Another thing that CBCS needs to do is to change its label. And this honestly is a no-brainer. This has been something that people have been talking about probably for the last 4 to 5 years, if not longer. They revamped their case. They called me up. They asked me if I would do a review of the case before it was rolled out. I did it. I did it in a fair way. The case is amazing. Honestly, the case is amazing, but a lot of people are still complaining about the label. Why not change the label? Like, I don't understand the resistance to it. Yes, there's some change management that would have to go into place. There would be some work to be done. But when your customer is saying, I'm not buying more of your product because I don't like this one feature, or I'm not going to buy your product because of this one feature, you have to maybe listen to the customer and make the adjustment, right? Maybe there's personal attachment to that label, but why not change it? Why not revise it? Why not have some fun with it? Turn it into a contest. Do 4 or 5 different designs. Let people vote on it. Have some sizzle with the change. Don't just change it, but change it and say, we heard you. We're listening to you. We are going to change this as a result of your feedback, and we want your help to do it. That's how you have a marketing campaign. That's how you make your customers part of what it is that you're doing. CBCS, change the label. Speaking of labels, one of the other things that I would offer up that CBCS might want to consider is custom labels. And this is something that CGC has done, EGS has done it, but what I'm thinking about here is that maybe CBCS partner up with creators themselves, like the Todd McFarlanes, the Donnie Cates, the Rodney Barnes, the Sanford Greens. Partner up with them to borrow their likeness or have them create a unique and specific design for CBCS that gets applied to any comics that get submitted, where people can choose to have this label applied. Now, this is a win-win-win in many ways. It's a win for the creators because the creators are being creative. They're being given an opportunity to have a label of their own, which means that they're going to talk about that label, but they're also going to put some money in their pocket from CBCS. As the community, we get to pick which label we want. Beyond just the standard labels that CBCS offers, we can pick a unique Donny Cates type of label or a Sanford Green drawn label and have it apply to one of our comics. And for CBCS, it's again a little bit of an innovation. They're doing something different. They are working directly with the community, if you will, of creators that are out there making comics, not just for Marvel and Image and DC, but for other publishers as well. So this is I think somewhat of an innovative idea that might actually resonate with people and to give them something different to offer up to the community. Speaking of marketing efforts, one of the other things that CBCS may want to consider is to partner up with some of these people out there that have amazing collections. So folks that have pedigrees, why not partner up with them to create a pedigree label for their pedigree? You grade their books, you offer those books up through an auction house, and now you have your brand associated with a prestigious pedigree and also with some high dollar books that are potentially being sold via an auction. Why not partner up with some of these dealers that have these amazing collections, wonderful inventory, and start grading their comics and also sending them through the auction houses? That is one thing that CGC does incredibly well. If there is an auction where one of their books sells for a high dollar amount, you better believe that they are talking about it. They are issuing a press release. They are talking about it on their website. They are talking about it on Instagram. They are talking about it in the forum. They are spreading the word saying, look at this. This is our book that we graded that just went for this crazy amount of money. Now, there are some good and some bad that comes with that, but there is a certain amount of prestige that also comes with that type of association. And CBCS has to get in that game. Another thing that I'd offer up is that CBCS needs to take a hard look at its registry. They introduced their population report, I want to say about a year ago. I personally was very excited about it because one of the things that I've always said is that if we only see the CGC slice of the pie, we only see the CGC slice of the pie. And so it's nice to see another slice, that being the CBCS. It's nice to know how many books potentially were printed through the Chromicon data. Then you can also see through these two databases how many were graded. Again, that gives you some picture of what is actually happening in the market. But one of the challenges with the CBCS database, in addition to it being relatively small, is that the database is also a little messy. Now, what I mean by that is if you search for a book like Amazing Spider-Man issue number 300, you actually get multiple entries. And some of these entries actually make sense, like separating newsstand from direct makes perfect sense, but there also appears to be maybe a double counting, an additional reference or two, and it isn't quite clear how many total books are actually on the census because you're not quite sure what the data is actually telling you. And again, I only looked at this for this one instance for this video, but I can tell you for a fact that I've seen this in other instances where I've actually searched for books and I found multiple entries and I was unable to discern which number was the total number for the CBCS census count. It isn't quite clear to me how CBCS can be the second most recognized third-party grading company out there and not have their data represented in pricing services. And what I mean by this is that if you look up GPA, what you see is that GPA analysis only has values for CGC books. You do not see any integration with CBCS. And potentially the reason for that is the long relationship that exists between CGC and GPA. They have a business relationship, or at least it appears that there's a business relationship, and potentially they are excluded, CBCS that is, excluded from having their data be put in there. But they do have some integration with Go Collect, which I think is great, but that data is also limited. You don't get the full functionality from the CBCS data that you get from the CGC data. And I don't know why that is, but if I were CBCS, I would make the investment in improving that API, making sure that Go Collect's integration with their population report is as robust, if not more robust, than what CGC actually offers through their API. CBCS should invest in making sure that their sales data is actually available in the pricing services so that people can actually look up the values and know how much a CBCS book should go for or is going for. Another thing that we've spoken about here on the channel several times is artificial intelligence. If CBCS wants to truly be innovative, using artificial intelligence to improve the speed, efficiency, and quality of the grading process may not be a bad way to go. And to be honest with you, I have no clue how easy or difficult it is to implement this, but this potentially would be a true innovation. If they could say, we have artificial intelligence that allows us to speed up the grading process, to improve the accuracy of gradings, that would be a huge innovation for the hobby. Huge innovation. And again, I don't know how expensive that is to do it, but it's something that should be considered, that would be differentiating, would be innovative. Another thing that CBCS needs to consider is not offering discounts on the services that it offers. And I know a lot of people won't like that because a lot of people like deals, but when you have a sale for your core service, essentially what you're saying is that this service isn't worth what you're paying for it. So I'm going to offer you a discount in an attempt to entice you to get on board with my service. That is potentially how some people will read it. By simply saying, this is my price, take it or leave it, you are saying to the market, I believe in what I am doing. I believe in the value that I'm offering. I believe in what it is that I'm putting out there. Get on board or don't. So depending upon how somebody thinks about this, depending upon someone's perception of a sale, it could go one way versus the other, but this is something that they have to consider. Perception of their service is paramount. Perception of the grades that they offer, perception of them as a company is important. And right now they are not doing a great job. Let me restate. I think that CBCS is a solid third-party grader. Let's be super clear about that. Solid grading company. They offer great services to the community. What they don't do is sell themselves. They do not sell themselves well enough, and that affects perception. Potentially, that perception affects the values that their books command in the market. And recently I did an analysis, not the best analysis ever, right? But an analysis that showed that there is indeed a value gap that exists between CGC and CBCS. You have to ask yourself, why does that gap exist? It is not simply time and market. It is not just time and market. It is multifactorial, and potentially some of the things that are highlighted in this video could actually help with that value gap. With that said, I'm going to wrap this video up. I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch. As I mentioned earlier, if you have some additional thoughts, don't be shy about leaving those thoughts down in the comment section, because I may be completely off base here, but I definitely look forward to reading your thoughts and your comments. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Reggie Collects. Take care.